You ready? Okay. Welcome to the June 9th, 2025 meeting for the Painesville Township Zoning Commission meeting. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
John Everett, who is absent. Darrell Webster.
Here.
John Hott.
Here.
Mark Ruth.
Here.
Ted Galushik.
Here.
And Jim Corrigan.
Here.
Okay. Sean or Rachel, do we get any comment or questions from the general public?
I have not.
Okay. Anybody else out in the general public sitting in the stand who doesn't have an agenda item on here, have any questions for the board? Hearing none, I'll call a regular meeting to order. And we had the minutes of the May 12th, 2025 meeting emailed to us. Any corrections, deletions, additions need to be done to those minutes? Hearing no response, I entertain a motion for approval of the minutes as mailed.
So moved.
Mark made the motion, second by
Second.
John. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, roll call please.
Okay, alternate Jim Corrigan.
Abstain.
You can still vote on
I
it
can.
if you, yeah,
Okay.
as long as you read them and understood
did.
them, you can still vote.
Yes.
Darrell Webster.
Yes.
John Everett. Oh, that's right. He's not here. Okay, Mark Ruth.
Yes.
John Hott.
Yes.
And Ted Galushik.
Yes. Okay. There's no public hearing. We have a site plan architectural review, case number 2025-06, site plan for a 4,085 square foot addition to the west side of the building located at 1300 Menor Avenue. The applicant here. Okay. Sir, would you please stand up, state your name and your address, please, for the record, and then give us a brief synopsis of your proposal.
My name is Chris Bedrick. I'm owner of American Home and Energy Products. 1270 Menor Avenue is where we have our current retail place. And, we're putting the addition over at 1300 Menor Avenue, just next door. Basically, we've been there, this is actually our 25th year that I've been there. And, started small, moved over to the old Katie's Pub, took that over. And, we have a fireplace shop and an outdoor living store. Fireplace shop, we do everything with, gas fireplaces, wood burning fireplaces, doors, electronic fireplaces, that type of thing. And then, our outdoor living products we sell is brick pavers, natural stone. We sell grills, outdoor kitchens. We sell some aquatics, plants and fish, rubber liners, waterfall type stuff. So different things for people's yards. And basically, I don't currently own the place where I'm at now. So over the years, I've put some aesthetics and monies into it. I don't get any help from my landlord at all. I hope to someday here, as I move in my other place, buy out where I'm at now and make that a nicer place than it already is. But I've done quite a bit at the place where I'm at out of pocket. And at the end of the day, trying to make everything look nice and make it a first class place.
Mm-hmm.
As far as that goes. But anyway, trying just to move everything over and accommodate for a first class operation to be able to sell fireplaces, grow our business. And tasteful displays, nice place to visit, and be a part of the community and grow for many years down the road. So
Staff report?
So, the addition itself is on the west side, so we can kind of take a gander at it. It's kind of like a remodel of the older building.
Okay.
And then the addition here on the left-hand side in the rendering to kind of be able to see. So this would be your front view, the addition to the left. Current state of building. So the current state, you kind of see how it
Correct.
is versus back into here.
That's what addition would look like after it's completed.
Yeah, with the rendering of what was proposed. So the submittals, think of any much. So the reason why Popeyes is in here because he's using the wood as an example of kind of what he's envisioning up top. Probably different like tone, not necessarily there.
Aldi's has got something like that too.
Yeah.
So I was trying to maybe grab a little bit of the community that you're coming down the street.
With the stone, and then more of like your what do they classify the board on bat?
Board and bat.
Yeah.
Okay.
siding.
So, in terms of when you're looking at the addition itself and location and kind of how everything flows into place, it's Western Reserve on the main corridor is tough when you're dealing with a building that is legal non-conforming in terms of setback. It's an older design. So I feel he's having an addition itself, you know, with the slant of the roof kind of a way to, instead of trying to put like a gable roof on top, it's tough. His vents will be on the side, so they're not like going to be 47 stacks up on the rooftop type situation. So I think that the design, he's right in line with it. When you guys look at everything else for the site plan, that's kind of where we get into like a zoning space of unknown. He does, I think he's applying for 6 variances and 2 conditional use permits. So there's a lot to come into play here. For you guys, as looking at the site plan, you're kind of looking kind of as flow of traffic, landscaping, kind of where things are laid out, and then the building itself. So I think we've check marked the new addition. This is addition 1. Ideally, down the line, not sure how far along, there would be an addition 2. So if you guys go to your page on the large sheets, I'm not sure if I put it on there. There's one like with the overview that has the conditional use for outdoor storage. Kind of looks like this.
Okay.
It shows the second addition down the line. We're only solely looking at addition 1 because he may never need addition 2. You know, it might never come to fruition, so we're just ultimately looking at this right now. But that kind of segues into why one side is exit only and the other side has the two-way traffic. So, I mean, if you guys have questions on landscaping or things like that, we can kind of dive into there a little bit more. But whatever happens tonight, obviously, major changes can happen tomorrow if things aren't approved or if they make adjustments type situation. But if we solely look at the building, the colors, the design, the lights, you know, those situations we can all hammer out tonight. And then if we look at, you know, landscaping a little bit, but you know, he's proposing in terms of trying to find like the lights. Sorry, it's a little bit further. So if he has any outdoor lighting, it'd be things like that which match other things that have been added recently in the township, and then different coping tops above any windows.
Okay. Alright,
Sorry if it doesn't. It's there's so many moving parts to this right now that it's a learning curve for me right now.
okay. Any questions of the committee for the applicant and or staff?
Just more of a curiosity, would this have any reason to be better off next month?
So in terms of better off next month, I mean obviously I've been working with Chris. Chris wanted this on last month, but like I said, it wouldn't have been fair to Chris or you guys just in terms of my time frame, window training, out for training, like I was out of the state. So being able to hammer down, getting all that is needed, I would say we can get as much done tonight. And if you would table it, the board tomorrow night will determine a lot. And if they say green light on everything, then you guys know what you're getting into to say, we like the design, they're okay with those variances, this is okay and this is okay, then it would be perfect harmony. If they make any adjustments and say no to this, this, and this, and he has to make any shifts to his parking, then anything that you guys would agree to tonight would be null and void. So, or you just recap and leave there. So either A, can table it, continue it, or put a huge contingency on it, which would be basically coming back the following month anyways.
Well, if the board did approve your site plan today, contingent upon the variances being requested tomorrow, and if anything would be either altered by the board, say you want X but they'll give you a Y, or if you want X and they say no, not at all, then basically you have to come back here because the site plan has been altered.
Sure.
So what we would done would be, like Sean said, it'd be moot.
Yeah.
I'm just giving you a fair warning.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. If something's not approved tomorrow, hey, we can't let you do this, or we would change around this, then hey, I'll redraw it up, and we got to bring it back to review. Yeah, if it's
Yeah, and it's not unusual for us to do a site plan approval. If everything looks good and what we're looking at for the site plan itself, the building design and everything else that we have jurisdiction over. And then it's, we have no problem in doing that.
Yeah.
The board approves it, contingent upon the variances being done.
Sure.
So we've done both ways. It just depends upon what the board tonight wants to do. So, I'll let them, go ahead, John.
I spent quite a bit of time today, here and over at where you're at and around them. We brought back some old memories too, because I used to drive around that building all the time with maintenance when it was Manners.
yeah, I'm trying to bring a little bit of that back to the inside. So
And I've looked at your drawings and your, all the pictures, I believe, when you're taking an old building like that, which is really not conducive to too many of our plants today, I think you've done a good job and I think it looks a lot better, and I think it's going to look good.
yeah, thank you.
But unfortunately, we don't have a lot to say about those variances right now.
Sure.
I believe that we will probably have to take, I don't know if there's any questions on those small things like the lighting and that. Your landscaping, it's very difficult to handle anymore than what we'd like to see on landscaping with that, the way the lot is situated.
Yes.
I noticed the back part there, you have quite a bit of rubble and stuff in that back part, you're probably gonna be using it for storage outside there, so it's gonna have to be cleaned up some, I guess.
Well, it'll be cleaned up a lot. It's kind of a little bit of a standstill because I've got to talk with the county as far as the drainage in the back areas because it's really flat. I don't have much drainage from one side to the other. So I've got to talk, or am I going to put a basin, or how I'm connecting gutters, or letting ground flow. And the thing is, I'm at a standstill till we figure out some of these things, and then I can start going to the building department. So I can't go to the building department yet, or some of these other things until I get approval through this and variances. So
I know there's a pretty good drop off from the road down to your building.
That way there's good, but coming across to the left, that's where it's a little bit tighter. Not that it will be, it could be perfectly fine, but I might need a drain here and there. And that's where I want to get the county out to help me what they want me to do, what makes sense. So that'll be one of the next steps.
And I noticed too, although you can't change it, when it was Manners, there was traffic there all the time, around and around and everything, and Fairgrounds Road and all that was still the same number of lanes and everything like that. Don't recall many accidents there. And I noticed you have the entrance and exit on the right side, east side there, but west side is exit only, right?
Correct.
And
Yeah.
at first I questioned that, but then if it was like that before, people coming out of Fairgrounds and making a left, sometimes they're watching a lane they're going to, and all of a sudden somebody wants to turn right. It surprises them sometimes, like Wendy's out of the shopping center, and it's a similar situation like that. But I don't recall.
Actually, where we're at now, next door, that's actually really, really difficult to come out of there, out of that building. So a lot of times if I'm out with customers outside or whatnot, I'll go out and say, hey, look, feel free to, pull out and around the backside there and enter and, leave out of there, that area. So I'll say, hey, if you want, you can go all the way down there. If you don't feel comfortable pulling out of the, the one or two entrances and exits that I have currently now. So I'll force people, sometimes,
Okay.
they'll go over that way, or myself, or whatever it may be. Yeah. So.
I think it's gonna look a lot better than it does now, so. But hopefully.
Well,
And I read your remarks on that will be addressed at your meeting tomorrow night. And I think you did well on making excuses, if you wanna call it that, but it kinda locks you in on what you can do. So I know it's gonna be a tough decision. What they decide is up to them, but.
I mean, yeah, I plan on, I got a landscape construction background and construction background, so even some of the things that I've done back, 20 years ago with some plants around the front, some plants around the bushes. There's Midland's sign out front, that he has there that looks terrible. And I talked with Sean and he's got some damages to it, but I'm in the process now of designing that. I told Captain, who's, the owner of Midland, and I'm actually picking up the tab for the sign in the front there because I hate the way it looks. So I'm gonna be picking up the tab, and I told him, he goes, I just a little bit tight with money. I said, look, Captain, don't worry about it. We've known each other for years. I'll pay for your sign, because he was gonna do something, a patch repair on it and everything else. And he came over to me and said, yeah, the township wants me. I'm like, sorry about that, but I'm thinking, thank you. Because I want things to look good around there. It looks
I did have one
makes
question.
everything look bad. So I'm gonna be picking up the tab for a nice sign, and I'm trying to color coordinate, some of the things that come across that whole lot. So even with my building now, you'll see I've got that dark burgundy color. That's that's part of that color scheme from where I'm at now, bringing that across that, and that's one of the colors that's part of the, in the architectural, review schemes for that. So I'm gonna pull that into the sign with Midland too, and pulling some of that dark burgundy and these other colors all the way across from current property over to the other property.
I had one question maybe for our zoning inspector here, but I guess I could use a little clarification on that electronic sign, where it says something about 100%.
So he currently has a sign that he would like to reuse on the new property. So his sign currently is 100% electronic board and all movable. So in our zoning, it only allows for up to 60% of that board to be movable. So he needs to have that variance there. And the maximum height would be 5 feet. So his stone's a little bit too high on this side. So when he moves it over to this building, his maximum height, everything like the highest point of that sign could only really be 5 feet. And to give an example, you've seen that photo. So here's the fairgrounds, which is the county that can do basically anything that they want. So when they look at their sign, only 60% of it's movable, right? And then the other side is the
Oh,
lake.
so that was, because like with the top part there and.
Yeah, so-
You count that as one sign, but only part of it.
Yeah, it's counted as one. And it's funny because in having our new zoning inspector, I'm able to catch up on some things, and somebody applied for a board, so that's how I kind of was reading through an electronic board. The finish line, the finish line car wash that you guys had seen last month and the month prior, they wanted to make a change to their sign and have it all electronic, and I'm like, you're gonna have to go back and see for a variance because you can't have that. And he was like, I'll just make it like the counties. So that's how it got caught up in the whole mix for that variance there.
Okay.
I still remember when we outlawed them altogether.
So I think what I could do, you know, if that doesn't go through tomorrow, would be take my video sign and keep that and then add to it, add my name or something onto that. Is that correct?
Yeah, we'll have to look to see what the percentage, what your current square footage is. So as long as you bring it down, you know, down to the 5-foot height level, and then you're adding, you know, signage. It just depends on how you want to do it. So, but that's for them to decide tomorrow in terms of, but I mean, obviously with you guys looking at the site plan today, you guys can evaluate where the sign would be going, right? So as I zoom in on this, he's proposing the sign to be here, right? So in the nature of the beast, I would have to get full measurements because he's showing 10 feet off the back. And it's calculated by a percentage of height. So with the maximum height being 5, you know, he's probably right where it would need to be. And he's far enough away from his drive, depending on, you know, I don't think the line of sight.
And back.
There's the current sign there.
Yeah,
That sign there, so I was gonna take that down and then move the other sign there if it works.
Yeah, I'd rather move it away from your drive.
Yeah,
because he's talking about the legal
Yeah.
non-conforming sign that's
As
there
long as
now.
we get it
yeah,
away
take
from-
that one and move it.
We'd have to move it down a little bit more, because this thing is gonna be a little bit bigger, a
Yeah,
little bit more. So
Yeah.
I'd rather have it as far away from the drive as possible, if we
Yeah.
could.
Yeah.
John, any more questions? Daryl has some.
No, I think, I'm finished for right now.
Daryl?
I'm just wanting to know what that easement's for.
the easement in the far back?
Yeah.
So that easement in the far back is for, the county, sewers. So the county
Sanitary?
sewers come off of Menor Avenue
Uh-huh.
and they come off of Menor Avenue and, down here further by my other building down there, and then you come across the back of the building. And
Okay,
then
so
this
that's
would be-
sanitary.
Menor Avenue would be here, this is the current building, this is the back of the current building, and it comes right up through here, and it keeps on going, but that's like an 18-inch sanitary sewer, from, Lake County, handling
Okay,
all that.
Mm-hmm.
I think you answered the question, another question what John got into was the miscellaneous rubble in the back. What you're gonna do with that?
The miscellaneous rumble,
Yeah, well, that's,
what are we gonna do with that?
yeah, in the back.
Okay, so that
I
back
mean, I
area,
noticed-
if you look at the site plan, right now, we've got some, miscellaneous piles of this and that, and so what I'm waiting for is, if I can get approval, then I like to, there's construction in the back, and this area, would be some of the new palletized material into, I call it a brick and stone yard. So this is all gonna be a stone surface back up and through here that I would store stuff. So I would be installing this year, and then we're gonna fence around it, and then this would be where we would, store products, on the property, so that would be all cleaned up, the rubble, there's some piles,
Yeah,
of
'cause I
dirt,
noticed
there's
a
some,
couple
little bit of
cars.
firewood's in there, but.
I noticed a couple of vehicles back there, I don't know whether they're operable or not.
Yeah, those are operable, trucks,
Okay.
equipment and stuff that we use, yeah. So this is all clear, this was some of
So you're already working on it.
yeah, some of this stuff's being worked on and getting cleared out, but it's really just kinda waiting. I can't do anything until we get approvals and,
Okay, understand.
yeah.
Any more questions, Joe?
That's it.
Jim or Mark?
I guess my only concern is getting in and out of the property with the front display area. How are you gonna be able to see around it to get into traffic?
So currently, over at, our other building, we have a aluminum decorative fence here, and we've got about a foot right there that we come. If you pull up on a car, and kind of the height of the fence being 4 foot, if you're sitting in an average car, you really don't have any issues. I've kind of been in my car or in smaller cars and kind of stopped and looked at that, said, hey, is this gonna work? So that seemed to work right there. 1 foot's, don't get me wrong, it's a little bit, like, hey, do I got enough room? But, so I pushed it back, I think 3.5 foot on the new design. And 3.5 foot seems like with even a small car or anything else, that there's plenty of views back and forth, to see. So I've done kind of tests on that. I've done some other models and standing there and looking at different angles and put some thought into it. But even when I'm pulling out of this parking lot area here, at the 1 foot on that size, 4 foot fence, it seems to be, hasn't been any problems at all,
Mark?
I would still ask the question, is there really anything eminent of value that we do this right now as opposed to next week or next month? Is there a downside, is what I'm saying.
If you're asking me, no. So, I mean, obviously, I'm not running the business. So, from a zoning standpoint, it would not be permitted in terms of the building, green light in that nature. But there's a lot of variances that I've done that would need to happen for the project to move forward. But in that hypothetical situation, let's say they say ixnay any displays past the front of the building tomorrow. Then you guys would revisit next month and be like, okay, so there's no displays in the front. Where's your sign going? It can go there. This is going here. You're good on this end. There's no other variances needed. We like the building. We like the colors. Okay, you're approved. Versus today, doing it and then be like, well, if anything changes, it's apples and oranges of how you want to do it. At the end of the day, we're having fruit salad. So, I mean, that would be and it's, you bring up the situation in terms of the setback and kind of like where it's at and turning in zoning, each property is unique. So each one's different. You're looking at 31 feet of frontage here for display. Over here, you're looking at roughly 90 feet of display, whether that's up on the curb for 0 foot step back or if it's 3 feet back. I mean, the only place that has it that close is this property over here, and it's at a weird intersection where it's a T versus something to calculate is when somebody turns here, are they getting up to speed right here, and then they're going to be at full speed by the time they get in front of there. But that's going to be something for the guys to decide tomorrow.
Yeah. I'm not too much, from my standpoint, I'm not too much worried about the traffic going in and out because you're pretty much up to speed. You got right beside it, you got that couple retails right just to the west of there, so it's not that bad. You got 4 lanes. It'll be traffic going in and out. It'll be pretty much safe. So for our standpoint tonight, is a color scheme, the landscaping, a proposed landscaping plan, proposed driving, getting in ingress and egress. that if it looks like, if that landscape plan, like I just said, meets with the board's approval, which what we have to look at for a site plan. The variances is, yeah, another animal, yeah. And the reason why the variance is important is because the Board of Zoning Appeals, they can, the applicant makes the request for the variances, and the Board of Zoning Appeals says yay or nay, or yay with this modification. What we would approve tonight based on the variances being approved tomorrow would just go null and void. Our approval would be, and it would be in part of the motion, would be just null and void, and he has to come back, and like Sean said, we have to come back and say, the board changed this piece and this piece for the as shown to us. This application that we exhibit and what they're showing to us is based upon all the variances that the owner has requested be approved as requested. So anything that is changed based upon the Board of Zoning Appeals, they'll have to come back to here for us to approve. But as far if we we as a board are okay with the site plan, the landscaping plan, the landscaping portion of the plan, ingress and egress, the color scheme of the building, and some of the landscaping pieces that we have to look at. If we're okay with that, then I would say it's okay, in my opinion, that the board has approved to okay it with the variances being, conditional on the variances being approved, because the owner is the one that is the one that has to come back to us if they say no. So I'll contingent upon that. And if you continue and wait for that, we can continue the site plan review till next month.
Yeah.
So you have two choices. You can either continue it till next month, or approve it with the conditions that the variances would be conditioned on the variances being approved by the Board of Zoning Appeals.
We've done this for many because the need to get into construction during this time of year is pressing.
Yeah.
And it's usually worked if we approve it with
Mm-hmm.
what's here, if we like it.
Yep.
And all they do is have to get the variances. And what it is, he's taking the chance that they'll approve them. If they don't, he has to come back.
Right.
So he's not out anything if he has to come back, because that's we could have done that in the first place. But my concern is that if this is in tune, and we think this is in tune, we require to approve it subject to those variances being approved. Then if they're approved, he doesn't have to come back here.
Correct.
That gives him 30-day jump.
So like I said, if the board wants to continue all we have to do is just continue the public hearing, continue the site plan review to next month. That would be the motion.
Mm-hmm.
Or the other motion would be to approve with conditions
Mm-hmm.
on the approval of the approval of the variances. Approval of the site plan based upon Board of Zoning Appeals approving the site plan, including the variances.
Variances.
Basically what you're looking at right now. Unless there's anything else, or if the board does not like what they see in the site plan and want to make some more changes to the site plan as proposed by the applicant, then you can just say continue it and go from there.
Did you ask all your questions that you might have yourself?
I'm fine.
Okay.
I got most of my questions answered. You folks read my mind well. John?
If we table this, let's say that for some reason the Board of Zoning Appeals approves all except maybe one thing,
Mhm.
and you had to come back and come out with some other plan that would be, perhaps would be, not necessary to go for them to approve it, but, we might have to look at that plan again. I'm saying that probably the best thing we can do then is probably continue this or table, if you wanna use that term, until next month. And that way, we would have all these, we would know if they approved all of the variances that you requested. And at the same time, we wouldn't have to make any further decision other than what we've already talked about today, I think.
The other thing too is that sometimes, most of the time when we have site plan approval based upon Board of Building Appeals seeing variances, there's usually like one or two small variances that need to be approved. This one here has a number of items, and some of them are, some are significant, if you know what I mean.
More than normal.
And that would be somewhere, I could see us wanting to continue the site plan review based upon what happens tomorrow.
Yeah, this is something that I've been working with architects and surveyors and everything for over 3 years now. And so, in my mind, I'm trying to get some closure from you guys on certain things like, hey, look, I don't want this siding here. Okay. I don't like this color here. I'm trying to get some closure on something so I know it. And most likely, everything's not going to go through tomorrow. So there's probably about a 90% chance that I'm going to be back here, next month. But I'm trying to get some closure on things, and if I can get a certain amount of closure here, and a little bit of closure tomorrow on certain things, and a green light on some things, then I can move forward, because I'm going to stall with getting my engineering plans together, such as like if you say I don't like the building lines, I don't like the way it looks, I can't go any further with, I've got to redesign the plans. But if I get some closure of saying yes, we're okay with the way the front looks, or this or that, we're not sure about the fence yet, or this or whatever it may, as we go through the landscape or whatever it may be. But if I get some closure on certain things like the actual envelope of the building and roof pitches or some different things, hey, I can have a green light that I can say, look, now I can go back to my architect, now I can go back to my engineering people with my architect, and they'll help me start doing the drains, the electrical, schematics. So I have all this other stuff I've got to get done in the background, because I'm trying to break ground and get something going in the fall so I can get it enclosed. And I still have to go through the city, or through the building department and all this stuff, and I got to go through my engineers, my steel guys, and so.
Yep. I understand that, and Sean, the site plan, he can't really move forward on this project until we approve the site plan.
I mean, yes and no. I mean, I mean, if we break it down and we separate the two things here, you guys can look at the building right now and be like, we like the colors, we don't like the colors, we like the stone, we don't like stone, the pitch is fine. And then we knock the building out, and then you guys basically look at the landscaping and be like, wish we could see a little bit more. What can you do? And then he goes yes or no to it. And then tomorrow we go, hey, we're going to shift this about 5 feet more this way. And then the board goes, okay, well, the site plan, they're good on that end, there. So at least then that would give him closure, because then in his mind he doesn't have to worry about, holy cow, I need to change this roof line. I mean, I'm assuming there's been no comment or concern about the way that this building looks.
No.
So
As of right now, we haven't heard one.
I
yeah,
would say the traffic flow patterns, like
Yeah.
some of
And
the
I
stuff that
haven't
we
heard
talked.
an issue, as of right now, I haven't heard an issue from the board members at all about that.
So I think the board is just on the fence, because there's a lot of hanging fruit that they don't want to put their hat on something. Because if that board tomorrow says, hey, you need to give us a grass strip on the left-hand side and the right-hand side, then we're having to measure this 20-foot gap here to be like, hey, is this big enough for a one-way still being at 17 feet with 3 feet? You know what I mean? So that's probably why they're on the fence. I don't think it's gonna, the board can make the decision, but I mean, at this rate, unless something drastically, I mean, you guys could probably just table it, and then we come back next month and I go, hey, they approved all the variances, or they changed this variance, which has no effect on the building or landscaping or this. Then you guys are going, okay, we're approved, we're journalized, and then he's off to the races on whatever else he needs.
And sir, that might be where we are heading toward. I think we're like now, just we haven't come in with any kind of if we table it tonight, it isn't because we don't like it. Because if the board had a problem with either the color scheme of the building, the way your building looked, or the way your proposed stone's going to be, your proposed color's going to be,
You hear about it.
I would say that we would be talking about that already.
Yeah.
I think the biggest issue right now, I gotta wait for, is the number of variances that you have requested. That would, any one of these that would be a no or a modification, because something we're gonna have to really take a good look at in the next month. So, what I'm trying to tell you is that since you haven't heard anything too much from the board on the building and what the color scheme of the building is going to be and what the ingress and egress looks like, which is what we look at for the site plan review, I don't believe that would hurt you any, but it hurts you any, okay, we are understanding that we like what the building looks like, we like the color scheme you're going to do, like the stone type you want to do, that can go forward. But as far as overall site plan being overall stamp approved, we probably would like to take a look at what the Board of Zoning Appeals does tomorrow. So so you may not, if we continue it, it's not like you're going to have a total no on the building. I can't move on the building. I can't move on the color scheme. I think unless something changes, and I'm saying this because I don't hear any questions concerning that type of what normally, if you're looking for closure, that may not be the total closure you want, but it would be at least an idea, going forward what you have to do. So if there's any more questions from the board, then I'll entertain a motion for either. Oh, Daryl.
One quick question. Who has jurisdiction over ingress, egress, the state or us?
That would be ODOT. ODOT
That's the state
has a
ODOT,
huge
okay.
part in it.
That's what I thought because it's a federal highway.
Yeah, this is a highway, so that'd be affected. John.
I'll make a motion that we table this, table or continue this until next month, and it should be just a matter of one or two questions, or maybe nothing at all next month.
I just wonder, and I'm sure Sean will be here, he'll be here tomorrow, I'm sure, but, I'm worried about getting to the meeting tomorrow, and they're gonna say, what did the architectural board say, and then all of a sudden, they're like, well, maybe we should wait for them next month, and
So I
Well-
think we'll be able to make a decision once they rule what they have to do.
Yep.
Sean, are any of the variances, would they cause any change to the building itself?
Technically, on the yes. So his storage might all shift if they say no to storage in the front. His front clearance, or I should say his side clearances, because it's required landscaping against paved surfaces. So the 3504A, no, it's basically the strip that's along the sides, because it does require a buffer from paved surfaces to the adjoining property, just to lighten the blow along the line. So if you look at other like, so for the Amplify dispensary, you know, they were required a certain percentage, but they were only able to give so much, so that's why they had to require one there. So that would be the only thing, but it's tough to say whether or not that buffer would make him want to shuffle his whole building, if that makes any sense. Like you can see here how, like, in terms of the village, so we required that buffer there between the buildings, and then the buffer here between the buildings, you know what I mean? Like, so between the
Yep.
property line, there's there. So when
Okay.
you look at his property, there's none here. I know there's currently none, but when you're adding the addition, the lots have been combined or separated, that makes that parcel have to meet the conformity of it, so.
Okay, so what I have a motion on the table to continue the public hearing till July 14th meeting.
To table it.
To
Don't
table.
have a public hearing. There's no public hearing. You table it,
Table or
action
continue it?
until next month.
Continue it to next, continue the site plan review till next meeting.
Yes.
Okay, I have
Next
a
month.
motion
And I'll
Next
second.
month.
next month.
Yeah, you said next week again.
I will second what John made a motion for.
Okay, I have a motion on the board, a motion on the table to table the site plan review until July 14th meeting. Do I hear any discussion on the motion? Hearing none? Roll call, please.
Okay, alternate Jim Corrigan,
Yes.
Dara Webster,
Yes.
John Everett is not here, John Hott,
Yes.
Mark Ruth,
Yes,
and Ted Galusha.
Yes. Sir, is tabled till next month, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, and I would, you know, if there's anything that, it helps me out, I guess, if there's anything that, you know, each one of you, you know, come across, you know, hey, look, I got home last week, I was looking at this a little closer, you know, maybe if they can approach me, you know, on the side or
We'll
something.
do,
We
if
would-
we have
we would
anything,
go-
Something before that, you know what I
we will
mean?
go through Sean.
we'll go through Sean,
Yeah.
and Sean can go to you.
Yeah, something like that, so
Yep.
then, hey, maybe I gotta redesign something, or we don't really like that, or just some thoughts, whatever, so
Yeah.
I can kinda keep
That'll be,
my mind and my designs going, because there's gonna be things I'm probably gonna wind up having to change with tomorrow night's meeting, so if there's other
okay.
concerns, I can
So that's
kinda.
what'll happen. So if we have any changes that we're looking at,
Yep.
we'll go through Sean,
Okay,
and Sean will get back to you.
Alright.
All right?
Alright.
Thank you.
Thanks for your time.
Okay. Next week. All right. Okay. No new business? Any old business? We have no public, we didn't have any public hearings. Zoning inspectors report.
Next to you guys, you have training options if you'd like to attend. That is this Friday down in, I believe, Niles/Youngstown area. If you were so inclined, I'll probably need to know basically by Wednesday so I can tell Dave Radacci that you'll be in attendance. Obviously, the township's paying for the cost for you to attend, so
Okay. So anybody wants to go, based upon what the agenda is, talk to Sean by Wednesday. I can't go. I got an appointment.
So do I.
I cannot go,
Okay.
cannot,
You gonna go?
I cannot.
Cannot. Okay. You cannot. Any other further business? Anything else, Sean?
that's enough for.
Okay. Any further business come to the commission? All right. It's 7:19. I entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
By Jim. Roll call.
Okay, Ted Galusha.
Yeah.
Mark Ruth,
Yes.
John Hott,
Yes.
Dara Webster,
Yes.
and alternate Jim Corrigan.
Yes.
Meeting adjourned.
You want these back?
Yes,
Yes.
please.